So let me ask you this, and this is one of the reasons why I've been actually was looking forward to bring you on here because your bio and your areas of expertise, you cover hypertension, body composition, but back to hypertension in African Americans.
Hmm.
And I've always had the opportunity to ask somebody that's in the health profession. So is it fact or myth with African Americans, they have higher hypertension rates than other races?
Well, hypertension is extraordinarily common
Okay.
in African Americans. That is true. It also is fairly common in white people. We just tend to get it at a slightly older age.
Mhm.
But it's common in Americans. It's particularly common in African Americans. Why is that? We don't know actually.
Okay.
There are various theories why that might be true, but we don't really know. Now, I'll tell you another thing. If you went out there and you got a bunch of people with high blood pressure, and 90% of them, we don't know why they have it. In only 10% of them can we identify a particular thing that's going on that gives them the high blood pressure. But for 90% of people, we don't know.
So how would the All of Us research program kind of answer that question somewhat?
Well, that that's interesting. And one of the things that you need to be able to really tackle a question like that is probably a whole lot of people with a lot of different kinds of measurements. So, you know, there hadn't been as many genetic studies that are really big that involve people who aren't white, actually. Um, there was just a story yesterday that I was listening to on the radio about a study that was looking at Parkinson's disease in Nigeria. And they found a particular, genetic thing that if you have that trait, you have two copies of a gene. If you have two copies of this gene, your chances of having Parkinson's disease are like four times a person who doesn't have that genotype. So, it's really important to have enough people of a specific group to study. So we have a better shot at trying to sort out what's going on with a whole lot of people. And especially a whole lot of African Americans, because, as you were saying before, there is a whole lot of hypertension in the Black community, and it would be really great if we could figure that out. It
Oh yeah, I
causes a
agree.
lot of disease.
Yeah, I agree because a lot of times, typically, and people say, well, it runs in the family. Then say it's the food you eat. Then also, I've done like I told you before I got on the podcast, I was doing some research. It was like, well, because there's not a lot of in typically areas of color, there's not a lot of grocery stores and food deserts, so people migrate and eat at fast food places more often, and it's just bring all that different data, into it.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. And high blood pressure is what it's a complex disease. It probably has multiple different things that come into play. You probably probably people have, a number of different genes that they carry. Each one of those genes has a small effect on their blood pressure. It's not, if it was one gene that had a big effect, we would have figured that out.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a handful of conditions where one gene is at fault, a handful.
Mm-hmm.
But for most common things like high blood pressure, it's going to be a number of genes, each having a small effect. They add up, and those genes interact with each other, and they interact with the environment. And the environment is a lot of different things. The food you eat, probably where you live, the stress or, other lifestyle factors, how much people exercise. A lot of things probably come together and then cause the problem, in this case, high blood pressure.
Do you know what's happening in Birmingham? Download the What's Happening Birmingham app today on Android, iPhone, and iPad for free. Get info on everything you need to know about local news, events, businesses, restaurants, and more. Visit our website, what'shappeningbham.com, or follow us on social media at HappeningBham for more information. Download the What's Happening Birmingham app today, your source for everything Birmingham.